Over the years, many strange objects have been observed close to the Sun. These objects, which have been captured by NASA's Solar and Heliospheric Observatory and other satellites, have sparked a great deal of interest and speculation among scientists and the general public alike. Interestingly, a few days ago, an amateur astronomer by the name of John posted some strange photographs to social media. John detailed that the photographs were taken by the Solar and Heliospheric Observatory. For those unaware, the Solar and Heliospheric Observatory is a joint mission between the European Space Agency and NASA. It was launched in 1995 with the goal of studying the Sun, the solar wind, and the interplanetary medium. SOHO is stationed in a special orbit known as a Lagrangian point, which allows it to observe the Sun continuously without being blocked by the Earth or other planets. The spacecraft is equipped with a suite of instruments that allow it to observe the Sun's atmosphere, magnetic field, and solar wind in unprecedented detail. One day, while poring over images captured by NASA's Solar and Heliospheric Observatory, John noticed something strange. In the images, which had been taken close to the Sun, he saw a large rectangle-shaped object and said that in other frames, glowing objects could be seen close to the outside of the Sun. Oddly enough, in other images, the amateur astronomer said that he noticed a black cube, which has become known in recent years as being a recent visitor, and although space agencies have denied that this object is of any interest, those who investigate the unknown have said that it's often seen hovering close to the Sun before flying off at extreme speeds. At first, John thought that it might be a comet or some other natural phenomenon, but as he continued to study the images, he became convinced that he had captured something truly unusual. Determined to find out more, John reached out to other amateur astronomers and enthusiasts online, sharing his images and asking for their input. To his surprise, he received a flood of responses, with many people agreeing that the object in the images was unlike anything they had ever seen before. As more and more people saw the images, other theories were put forward to explain what it was, with those who investigate strange objects saying that this isn't the first time that something strange has been detected close to the Sun. Some skeptics dismissed his claims, suggesting that the object in the images was simply a glitch or anomaly, but those who've seen it remain convinced that the solar probe had captured something truly extraordinary. Those who believe in these strange objects have said that the mystery of what these things are remains unsolved. Some researchers suggested that it might be an advanced spacecraft, while others speculated that it might be a previously undiscovered type of comet or asteroid. One of the most common types of objects seen close to the Sun are comets. Comets are small, icy objects that orbit the Sun and release gas and dust as they approach the star. When a comet gets close enough to the Sun, the heat causes the gas and dust to form a bright, glowing tail that can be visible from Earth. In addition to comets, there have also been reports of other strange objects near the Sun. One of the most famous examples is a group of objects known as sun cruisers, which are believed to be fragments of comets or asteroids that have broken apart as they pass close to the Sun. These objects appear as bright streaks on SOHO images and can be seen moving across the Sun's surface. Another strange object seen near the Sun is a giant anomaly that appeared in SOHO images in 2012. The object, which was several times larger than Earth, appeared to be a giant, glowing sphere that was hovering near the Sun's surface. The object sparked a great deal of speculation and debate, with some suggesting that it was a massive, advanced spacecraft. While there is no definitive explanation for these strange objects seen close to the Sun, scientists have offered a number of possible explanations. One theory is that they are simply natural phenomena, such as comets or fragments of asteroids that have broken apart. Others have suggested that they may be the result of instrument errors or glitches, or that they are simply optical illusions. Despite the lack of a clear explanation, these strange objects have captured the imaginations of many people and have led to a great deal of speculation and debate. Some people have even suggested that they are evidence of advanced life or advanced technologies, although NASA has said that there is no solid evidence to support these claims. In any case, the study of these strange objects seen near the Sun is an important area of research for scientists. By studying these objects and trying to understand their origins and properties, researchers can gain insights into the workings of our solar system and the universe as a whole. As of right now, the strange objects seen close to the Sun are a fascinating and mysterious phenomenon that has captured the attention of scientists and the public alike. While there is still much we don't know about these objects, they offer a tantalizing glimpse into the mysteries of the universe and the workings of our solar system. As our technology continues to improve, we may be able to gain a better understanding of these objects and unlock the secrets of the universe.
Russian researcher suggests Venera 13 imaged life on Venus. In 2012, a well-respected Russian researcher claimed to have spotted something new within the Venera 13 images captured by a Soviet landing probe 30 years prior. Dr. San Formality made worldwide headlines in 2012 as he claimed to have spotted signs of life in the images sent back from a landing probe within the 1970s and 80s. This would suggest life on Venus, but there is a great deal of speculation surrounding the authenticity of this claim. Revealed in the Scientific Journal of Solar System Research, the discussion paper outlines a second look and analysis of the panoramic images the Soviet-built Venera 13 landing probe captured. The argument that there has been evidence of life spotted is a three-pronged approach. As San Formality indicates, 3 objects that exhibit some characteristics of living organisms. The probe landed on Venus as planned on March 1, 1982. It was stationed in the Navka Planitia in an elevated area, Phoebe Reggio. Although Venera 13 only survived for 127 minutes, it completed its task, taking panoramic pictures of the surface on Venus to be analysed and researched further. Who would have thought these photos would still be presenting more findings in 2012, 30 years after they were taken? The images involved in the claims were taken courtesy of 2 of Venera 13's cameras. In his report, he explains that there were some large objects, ranging between a decimeter and half a meter in size with, as he describes to be, an unusual morphology. Furthermore, whilst the 3 objects in question were visible in some images, they were also missing in others, suggesting they may have moved. The first of the mysterious objects or possible life forms is an item that has been dubbed the disk. The image only displays the lower half of the disk, though is an estimated 0.34 meters in diameter. As the frames progress, the changes in the optical axis of the scanning camera suggest the disk itself is moving too, an idea supported by its relation to the upper boundary of the image. Throughout the various pictures captured, it appears as though the shape, size, and dimensions of the disk shifts, with it even seeming to resemble chevrons at one point, according to the article published by Dr. San Formality. The next object he studied was described as a black rag. This is seen up until the 13-minute mark in the photographs recorded. The estimated size for this rag is just 60 millimeters in height, with its origin being marked as unknown. The strange thing about the black rag is not its shape or size, but rather that it spontaneously vanishes. It is visible again from minute 27, but by 36 it has disappeared without a trace. Perhaps the strangest item spotted has been named the Scorpion. To begin with, an explanation for its presence was that it was part of the machine landing. Though having been working for more than 90 minutes at its first appearance, the stray parts should have been ejected and out of the way much sooner than that. San Formality even argues that if this Scorpion is machinery, then the lander would have been overheated due to the slow time to rid itself of the landing parts. Furthermore, the Scorpion seems to move throughout the images, emerging from soil and then disappearing once again, at the 119th minute mark. The Scorpion seems to have taken an hour and a half to dig itself out of a 1 to 2 centimeter groove in the soil, suggesting that it is indeed an animal. It has extremely limited physical capabilities. It is reiterated throughout the research paper that the images have not been edited or retouched in any way, and that the photographs shared are the raw data from the Venera 13. Some have suggested that San Formality's words are mistranslated or pulled out of context, as the majority suggests that the marks in the photographs are not living organisms, but rather a series of camera lens covers, scuffs, and blurry images. NASA later confirmed, through higher resolution photography of Mars, that the shapes and figures seen in the Venera 13 images were likely mechanical components, as these shapes could be seen on Mars too, and could be identified due to the higher camera quality. Furthermore, Venera 14 captured similar images to 13 despite them being 1,000 kilometers apart from one another, yet the exact same shapes were visible in those photographs too. Whilst stumbling across other life forms within our very own solar system would be exciting, it is likely a false call. Even so, the images and technology to even have these debates remains a huge testament to scientific advancement as of late. Voyager 2 message. 40 years after its mission launch, NASA spacecraft Voyager 2 sent a message back to scientists on Earth, which has now been decoded. Being the longest-running space mission to date, the faint signal sent back to Earth is truly incredible and has provided the most detailed look yet at the edge of our solar system. The message was initially relayed back to us after Voyager 2 crossed a boundary in space which marks the edge of the Sun's reach and the start of true interstellar space. This is no easy feat, as this elusive boundary lies a whopping 12 billion miles from Earth. Voyager 2 is only the second ever spacecraft to ever travel beyond the depths of the heliosphere. In other words, the bubble of supersonic charged particles emitted outwards by the Sun. Voyager 1 beat it out of the heliosphere by 6 years, despite being launched a month after Voyager 2, as the latter took a somewhat more scenic route through the solar system. The recently decrypted signal is not the only pearl of wisdom to have come from Voyager 2, as its 6-year detour also provided us with the only ever captured close-up photos of Uranus and Neptune. What makes all this data so much more incredible is that scientists never expected Voyager 2 to make it this far and survive quite so long in the outermost depths of space. Professor Edward Stone of the California Institute of Technology has been working on the mission since before its launch in 1977, and described just how much of an achievement it was that the NASA spacecraft reached this landmark and beyond, explaining that scientists were not quite sure just how large the bubble of particles was. The exact nature of the heliosphere up until recently has not been definitively understood. However, its boundary-like nature was confirmed by Voyager 1 after observing a drastic temperature difference upon passing out of the bubble. The temperature drop is now known to be caused by warmer particles from the Sun meeting an interstellar wind, blowing towards this boundary from supernovae which exploded millions of years ago. The longevity displayed by Voyager 2 goes to show the steady advancements being made in spacecraft technologies and opens doors for so many more future discoveries to be made further in space than we have previously imagined. Strange galactic signal coming from the center of the Andromeda. We have only begun to truly understand the nature of particles that make up space relatively recently, and despite the wealth of knowledge that we have already uncovered, there remains an untold amount that is yet to be discovered. For example, although radio waves and the bodies that emit them have been widely studied, recently researchers noticed a strange pattern of radio waves being emitted from deep within the center of the Milky Way. When objects emit radio waves into space, they tend to follow discrete patterns depending on where and what they are being emitted from. However, these waves demonstrate no discernible hallmarks of known objects. Ziteng Wang, a graduate student at the School of Physics at the University of Sydney and the lead author of the study detailing the unusual waves, said that the strangest property of this new signal is that it has a very high polarization. This means its light oscillates in only one direction, but that the direction rotates with time. The brightness of the object also varies dramatically by a factor of 100, and the signal switches on and off apparently at random. We have never seen anything like it. At first, we thought it could be a pulsar or a very dense type of spinning dead star, or a type of star that emits huge solar flares. But the signals from this new source do not match what we expect from these types of celestial objects. The signal was observed by Wang and an international team using CSIRO's ASCAP radio telescope to observe the sky in new ways in order to locate anomalies revealed through radio waves. When they found this mysterious unseen object producing these waves, it was immediately distinguishable not only for its unique pattern, but also because of its presentation over time. Initially invisible, the team noticed that it became very bright before fading and reappearing, which is unusual for celestial bodies. This strange behavior occurred a total of 6 times over the course of the 9 months that the astronomers recorded it. Yet, when they attempted to observe the region using visible light, there seemed to be nothing there, no matter which source or telescope they used. As they tried in vain to visualize the mysterious object in visible light, the strange radio waves continued, in seemingly no specific order or pattern. Each time the signal appeared, it manifested differently, sometimes lasting a single day, while other times it lasted weeks. No matter how the researchers tried, they could not definitively nail down what the object could be. Currently, the reigning hypothesis is that the object might belong to a new class of cosmic objects called Galactic Center radio transients, about which little is known. Perhaps if more information can be gleaned about this mysterious object, researchers will be able to definitively say whether or not it belongs to this class of GCRTs, or whether it belongs in a class of its own. Analyzing radio waves is one of the best ways for researchers to understand what lies undiscovered in space. Directly reviewing objects can only get us so far, as there are limits to how far visible light can be transmitted, and more proximal stars and bodies can block out the bodies beyond. It's discoveries such as this one, despite how mysterious it remains, that allow us to continue to gather information regarding the strange and mysterious world outside of our planet. Mysterious finger-like features spotted on the Sun. Not all of the most mysterious parts of space are due to recent discoveries. Some were brought to our attention long ago, but still manage to mystify astronomers and researchers alike. For one of these mysteries at least, it appears that we may finally have some answers. Scientists have long observed solar flares erupting from our Sun in great rays of bright energy flaring outward, but in 1999, strange, darkly coloured downflows of energy were also noticed within the flares. These were described as downward-moving dark voids and resembled finger-like projections interspersed within the solar flares. These formations were referred to as supra-Arcade downflows, and although it was suspected that their cause might be tied to magnetic reconnection in some way, their origins have remained largely a mystery until now. The research team studying these events carefully analysed the images of solar flares with the downflows present, taken by NASA's Atmospheric Imaging Assembly on the Solar Dynamics Observatory, which records 7 different types of images of the Sun's atmosphere every 12 seconds. They then reconstructed 3-dimensional simulations of solar flares to compare with the downflow images and came to a surprising realization. What they discovered was that it seems as though most supra-Arcade downflows are not a product of magnetic reconnection at all. This process describes the phenomenon of the Sun's magnetic fields being stretched and then snapping back through the flares, but the researchers found that these downflows were much too slow to make this a likely possibility. Astronomer and lead author of the study, Shenkai Shen, knew that things did not add up when it came to the slow speed of the downflows, saying that this is not predicted by classic reconnection models, which show the downflows should be much quicker. It's a conflict that requires some other explanation. After much study, another explanation was proposed. Rather than magnetic reconnection, it is much more likely that supra-Arcade downflows are actually forming as the independent product of the interaction of 2 fluids with contrasting densities. When this occurs within the plasma scorching off of the Sun in a solar flare, an unstable mix is created, resulting in gaps where there is actually an absence of plasma bordering regions of much higher plasma densities. These empty spaces are the supra-Arcade downflows that have so puzzled researchers for decades. Even though the answer seems rather simple, it was not so easy to arrive at this conclusion. which was only made possible through the use of three-dimensional simulations of solar flares. These technologies will continue to be used to attempt to peel away the layers of mystery that surround solar flares and its resultant space weather, and potentially reach such an understanding that we could one day be able to forecast solar flares to avoid the worst of its impacts. Essentially, resolving the mystery of supra-Arcade downflows was one small drop in the larger pool of solar flare knowledge, but its effects will be felt far and wide in the field as studies are continued. Scientists reveal that 100 stars mysteriously disappeared. It has long been understood that none of the limitless number of stars that glimmer across billions upon billions of galaxies were built to last forever. Even though they might burn brightly for what seems like an unending lifetime, eventually all stars will burn out. One thing stars are not known for doing is simply disappearing without a trace. That is, until now. Recently, scientists working with the vanishing and appearing sources during a century of observations, or VASCO, compared images of the sky taken over 70 years ago to current images. Although stars do eventually burn out and fade, they have lifespans of around 10 billion years, so researchers were not expecting to see much variation between the decades-old images and the placement of stars in the current sky. Surprisingly, they identified at least 100 stars that were clearly visible in the older images that were absent from modern-day photos in results that were published in the Astronomical Journal. So, what could possibly be behind the differences noted, and what could have caused such a large number of the seemingly unchanging pinpricks of light in our night sky to disappear entirely? Well, the short answer is that the researchers are not quite sure yet, although some suspect that the solution might provide valuable information to the search for none other than extraterrestrial life, while others take a more conservative approach and hypothesize that the discrepancies were merely short-lived flashes caught on film. When stars finally come to an end, they tend to expire in a massive burst of light that we would undoubtedly be able to trace back to some point in the intervening years, meaning that there has to be some sort of intricate or astonishing explanation as to why so many stars could simply disappear without a trace. This means that uncovering the reason why these stars were able to slide peacefully from our view could potentially have major ramifications for our understanding of the cosmos that surrounds us. Currently, many believe that there may be an as-yet undiscovered way that stars perish, resulting in this quiet decline. But researchers with the Search for Extraterrestrial Intelligence, also known as SETI, have proposed that these missing stars could possibly signify the centers of advanced alien civilizations who blocked their suns with solar panels. Although this latter reason might sound slightly far-fetched, SETI researchers concluded long ago that intelligent alien life forms wouldn't be easy to discover and might even be in a downright absurd location. Eager to solve this burning dilemma, researchers dove deeper into the data of the missing stars, cross-referencing light sources and the locations of the missing stars in order to hopefully uncover a clue as to what might have caused so many disappearances in the intervening years, and to ensure that all of the missing pinpricks were actually light sources like stars and not simply transient bursts or errors within the image. This process was a painstaking one that involved carefully studying over 24,000 discrepancies, but researchers now know that the 100 identified missing light sources were indeed not artifacts. Regardless, the answers that scientists are searching for still lie rather far off, as much more study is needed to get to the bottom of what could have caused these disappearances. Were they simply imaging anomalies, or could they point to an alien civilization or several lurking within the cosmos? Only time will tell. Scientists detect the ghostly signal that reveals the engine of the universe. When we make a discovery that inches us a little closer to being able to confirm a theory, it's thrilling, but when we uncover something monumental, it is truly revolutionary to the field, to our history, and to our futures. Physics is a discipline that truly captures our understanding of the world. To advance our understanding of physics is to advance our understanding of everything we are surrounded by. In November of 2020, an article was published to the scientific journal Nature, in which scientists detailed their research, where they detected for the first time neutrinos that can be traced back to carbon-nitrogen-oxygen fusion. Carbon-nitrogen-oxygen fusion, otherwise known as the CNO cycle, is a process that occurs inside the Sun. Whilst to those of us who do not know all too much about physics, this particle is a truly iconic moment that will not be forgotten anytime soon. This finding can confirm theories and predictions we have been guessing at since the 1930s. Gioacchino Ranucci, a researcher at the Italian National Institute for Nuclear Physics, said it's really a breakthrough for solar and stellar physics. He has been one of the researchers tackling this project since it first began in 1990. Scientists were able to use the Borexino detector at the IFN's Gran Sasso Particle Physics Laboratory located in central Italy. This is an incredibly sensitive piece of equipment. It is the largest underground research centre in the world and sits below the Apennine Mountains. The quest to hunt down this particle is the Borexino project, and uncovering the neutrino we have been looking for concludes decades of predictions and research. It has revealed to us the main nuclear reaction that most stars use to fuse hydrogen into helium. Most stars, including our very own Sun, emit massive amounts of energy by fusing hydrogen into helium. This is essentially a way to burn hydrogen. It is worth bearing in mind that hydrogen is the simplest and most abundant element in our universe, making it the main fuel source. For the Sun particularly, 99% of its energy comes from what is known as proton-proton fusion. This produces beryllium, lithium, and boron before they are broken down into helium. It's not always this clear and straightforward. Our Sun is not very big, at least not in comparison to some of the other stars in the universe. It's worth noting that typically the larger the star, the hotter it is. These are therefore powered mostly by CNO fusion. CNO fusion keeps an endless loop between carbon, nitrogen, and oxygen as to which atomic nuclei facilitates the fuse of hydrogen into helium. By our calculations, the CNO cycle is the primary type of fusion in the universe. Unfortunately for us, in the star closest to us, the Sun, this accounts for only 1% of its energy. The Borexino detector searches for neutrinos that are produced in the nuclear fusion process at the Sun's core. This is a difficult process due to how hard it is to detect neutrinos. Using neutrinos to study distant nuclear reactions is a preferable and ideal approach, since neutrinos have very limited interactions, barely interacting with anything at all. To put into context how difficult it is to detect these elusive particles, trillions of neutrinos pass through the Borexino detector with each passing second, though only a few dozen are detected within an entire day. This is done by looking for small, faint flashes of light produced as they decay in a dark 300-ton tank of water. Having poured decades of research into this, it was not until the last 5 years that big strides were taken, as the detector was made even more sensitive. This was done by blocking external sources of radioactivity. This makes the chamber of the Borexino detector the most radiation-free place on Earth. From this research, we can see the first ever piece of evidence confirming that the long-hypothesized CNO cycle is taking place in the Sun and other stars. This can push us to uncover more about how the cores of our stars are composed, as well as a bit more behind the formation process of heavy stars. This one tiny type of particle that has been discovered has had a major, momentous impact upon the world of physics as we know it. But what do you make of these recent discoveries? Be sure to let us know your thoughts in the comment section below and help us grow this community while working to solve these unexplained mysteries. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to subscribe for more videos.